Welcome back to the Full Court Press podcast, where we pick up 94 feet and talk hoops the right way. I'm your host, Brian Joyner, joined by Ben. Are you ready to put some pressure on these topics today, Ben?
Absolutely, man. I'm fired up. I can't
Yeah, you ready?
believe what just came out, so I'm ready.
Oh, man. Do you want to just kick it off? What did you read?
Yeah, well, I figured we'd touch on it briefly, but just the couple of awards that they've given out.
Yeah,
Obviously, we don't have to spend much time on Defensive Player of the Year. Unanimous Wemby.
unanimous. First
Makes
ever.
sense. I don't think there's anyone complaining other than, bum Rudy Gobert. But other than him, everyone else is on the same page. So,
Now, I
um,
have been impressed with Rudy throughout about regarding Jokic and stuff, especially that last game they won. But
for sure, for sure.
definitely not the impact that Wemby had this year, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I get that he's a little bit hurt, but yeah, I mean, to finish in the top five, like you're still one of the, all NBA defensive team, first team,
Yeah,
like shouldn't be a bad consolation prize, but
yeah.
it's just kind of
Especially
Rudy being Rudy.
at his in the stage of his career that he's in. It's like
Oh,
you're
for sure.
definitely tailing off towards the end, and it's like you're still top five in defensive player of the year. That's pretty good.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd be thrilled to be that. But no, what I really was upset about, and upset maybe is the wrong term. I mean, congrats to him, but the sixth man of the year, like, is this award just a joke now? Like, I saw obviously Keldon Johnson won for those that didn't
Yeah,
see in the last hour, but I mean, I get this year it was a little thin or slim pickings on who they could put into this category. They haven't really changed the criteria that I'm aware of, but
is there criteria? Do you have to play a certain
basically,
amount of minutes off the bench?
it's not. Well, that's one of my things is there's not a minutes limit. It's a you have to start, not start, come off the bench at least half of the games played.
Mm,
So, which to me is like, okay, that's fine, but I think there should be different criteria, which we can get into real quick. But I just I thought Jaime Jaquez was a kind of a shoe-in for the award. Honestly, I didn't think it was much debate just because of his impact on the floor, but statistically too, I feel like he was a little bit robbed. I mean, Keldon Johnson, not that he's undeserving, he played a pretty good role for the Spurs this year, and obviously they're one of the top two, three teams, two in the West and three overall probably. So
mhm.
definitely made an impact for them. But this guy's, he averaged 13.2 points or 13.5 points this year. No, 13.2. And that's the lowest amount of points for a six man, not in
Ever?
history, but since 2001,
Wow.
which is 25 years. And obviously, back in the day, people weren't scoring quite as much. But in the last
Right.
25 years, which I feel like is a great sample size, the lowest of anybody. And obviously, the last 3 years they've kind of gone lower as the award has maybe lost some value. But even the last couple of years, Peyton Pritchard, Naz Reid, Malcolm Brogdon, they were all more points than 13.2. So not by a lot, but still, it's kind of disheartening, I guess, to see a guy win it, averaging 13 and 5 and one assist and essentially no defensive stats. And he played 23.3 minutes per game this year. I'm like, yeah, that I guess that's a bench player for sure, but I'm like,
Yeah.
why are we rewarding this with anything? Like that's good job, dude, that you had 13 and 5 and nothing else essentially. Yeah, he shot almost 52% from the floor and 80 from the line and 36 from 3. That okay, that's respectable, but it just seems like kind of I don't know. Yay, like good job. Like,
Uh,
meanwhile, not that Jaime was doing any better. He averaged 15, 5, and almost 5 assists and slightly better defensive stats. Not anything to write home about, but and he shot almost. I think he shot 50% and then 31 from three, 76 from the line. So nothing great. Like it's not that he was super super deserving either, but just seems like this award either they should just do away with it or they got to come up with some better criteria to make it matter more. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I'm kind of heated.
yeah, I definitely don't feel as passionate about it as you do. That's for sure. I think when the season awards come out, I'm focused on like DPOY, MVP, Rookie of the Year. All the other ones are like, I don't know, like
Yeah,
it just doesn't. They don't move me, I guess. So it's like, cool, give it to whoever you want to, and whatever criteria that you put it together. But I don't know. I do feel like there should be some sort of criteria. There's none for that one. It's like, okay, you come off the
Yeah.
bench for the majority of the games. Cool. Like, I guess that's all you need.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, the guys that were in the running, I guess, was like I said, Jaime Jaquez and then Tim Hardaway Jr. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, like I don't know who I'm picking over those three. I mean, they're that like it used to be when you had like Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams and like Jason
Hmm.
Terry and these guys that when they came off the bench, it was like they took over games when they came
Right.
off the on the floor, and it's like
Absolutely.
none of those guys. And anybody that I could think of now, like, comes off the bench. Nas Reed was one too, like the one I think you won last year, right?
Hmm. You won two
Um,
years ago.
yeah, so he comes off the bench, and Peyton Pritchard was the same way last year, where it's like they came off the bench and like there was a considerable impact when he came off the bench. Now, I'll say haven't like watched every Spurs game that there was, but I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't see the same impact. I also didn't watch all the Knicks games when Jamal Crawford was winning, and I didn't watch all the Hawks games when Lou Williams was winning, or I guess Clippers games whenever he was winning, or
I
whatever
think
team
he
he was
won
on.
both, but yeah.
Yeah, so like I wasn't watching all those, but I did notice that like they stood out when they were on the floor. That was kind of the
Yeah.
thing. So that's kind of where I stand on like this year's awards for six man. I'm like none of those finalists really like wow, like I can't believe
Yeah.
they come off the bench and light it up, So,
For sure. And I
but
know it's changed over time, so we may not get what we used to get. It doesn't seem to matter quite as much anymore, but I mean even in his like stump speech essentially for the award beforehand, like last minute, oh, well I guess I might as well say I'm interested cuz why not? He was like, well, Keldon Johnson's saying like, well, I think, I played every game, which he did play every game. Good
cool.
job. But he's like, I was available for my team. I fit this role that they needed perfectly. And, that's about it. I'm like, that's all he has to stand on. It's like, I was
So,
available and I played less than half the minutes in a game. Like,
so
good job.
why isn't Sam Hauser in on this? He started
Right.
in the
There,
games because, like, okay, yeah, because Sam Hauser's a great shooter. He fits that team perfectly. He shoots the ball really well. Does that make him
exactly.
six man of the year? I don't know. Off of that
Right.
argument,
Yeah. And I mean, statistically, you can find a lot better lines off the bench than 13-5-1.
yeah,
I would think. Like I didn't do a deep dive on it, but all
right,
you got to do is look at Jaime Jaquez. There you go, better stat line.
yep.
So I don't know. It seems like they either got to make it more consistent with the impact. Like the last couple of years, hard to argue. Nas Reed and Pritchard off the bench, very very much stand out, like you said. And it wasn't just like a Lou Williams kind of flamethrower off the bench. Like they had more impact in different ways, but I think there's got to be some sort of consistency or make it matter a little bit more, I guess, because I don't know. I saw the headline and I was like, why? What? I guess great season for him by his standard, but it's not a very high standard, I guess.
Nah, and I don't think it ever really will be a very high standard. It's like I don't know. I don't ever hear people going for like I'm going for six man.
Right.
Like I don't know. People are just like, oh, I'm in it. Cool, like
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm more upset about the rookie of the year announcement that came out that Khan won.
When did that come out?
I thought I read something that said from on Twitter that Khan had won.
I don't. I haven't seen that yet.
Maybe I got like a miss or like somebody faked it, but I thought that's what you were going to bring up at first. It's like because I had just read that maybe a couple hours ago that
uh,
Khan had taken it, but we can talk about the fact that Bill Simmons, who is huge, I'd hate him so
oh,
much.
he's terrible. He has
Yeah,
terrible takes.
I don't like anything he says. Really, he's just so biased. And anyway, but it's fine. Um, he he uh, he came out and said that he was going to vote for Cooper Flag, and then changed his vote last second after VJ Edgecombe scored 30 last game.
In the playoffs,
Yeah, in the playoffs.
I didn't know they were still voting on this. I thought voting
Yeah,
was wrapped
uh,
by now.
I thought so too. But he came out and said he changed his vote from Cooper Flag to VJ because of that 30 point whatever. And I'm like,
Congrats, man.
this is
Try
why
scoring 50.
if the voting doesn't, yeah, if the voting doesn't occur or like it doesn't close before the playoffs, it should because this doesn't like it's
Oh
great.
yeah,
He had a great game, but like it should not impact the regular season stuff.
absolutely.
But
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I'm optimistic. Flag will still win. He should win, but
I hope so. I hope I was wrong in what I saw, but
yeah, I haven't seen anything yet. But I'm also
mm,
not on Twitter or any other social media, so you might see before I do.
yeah, yeah. I'll keep a closer eye on it. I'm maybe sorry if I'm mistaken about that, but I think Khan's gonna win it anyway. It's kind of what I'm expecting to come across. So maybe I
Yeah,
just saw it and was like, oh yeah, well that makes sense. I knew that was gonna happen.
yeah,
So
it definitely might happen. So preparing for that, but
right.
we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, we can kind of go into a little bit. I was gonna ask you, we shouldn't skip over the playoffs going on right now. Kind of who kind of stuck out to you and who has underperformed in your eyes.
Yeah,
Um, anybody stick out to you positively? I guess we'll start with.
yeah. Positively, I think I watched some of the games, not all of them, but
Yeah,
kind of tuned to where I can. I think Cleveland has looked very much like Cleveland that we were kind of hoping they would.
yeah,
All their stars are really producing. I do think Toronto has hung with them a little bit more than maybe we thought initially, which not that we thought they were going to win too many games, but when I was thinking about it, going back to what I was saying about how this is kind of the matchups Toronto wanted, you can kind of see they do match up decently with them. It's just
yeah,
they're getting overcome by this star power. They're missing, their starting point guard as well, so that really hurts them. Not that I ever thought they were going to beat Cleveland, but I think that was kind of their hope was that they match up better with them than with the Knicks. So I think you're just seeing Cleveland being a lot more dominant offensively than they had been towards the end of the year, but
yeah.
that's encouraging. One other one, I think the Hawks have stood out to me.
Yeah.
They kind of snuck one out the other
CJ,
night. CJ, yeah. I mean,
classic CJ game.
I guess that's kind of what they were hoping when they took on his contract was.
I
I mean,
mean,
this
why
is a
wouldn't you?
playoff veteran, and
Yeah,
you know, so I don't think they've played particularly well, but to be able to hang with New York, and I feel like their transition offense is just killing the Knicks. Like their speed is
yeah,
that's their main weapon. Like I know last week Armand mentioned that of like, hey, if they can get the Knicks out of their game, out of their half court sets and stuff, like they definitely have a chance. And I think we're seeing that. But I think defensively is really what has stood out to me for the Hawks. Like I just love watching Dyson Daniels on
oh, he's so
defense.
good
That guy's
defensively.
he is like got the perfect position. He's always in the right spot. I mean, he's getting pushed into him. Like, you see him get pushed into Brunson.
Yeah,
Like Brunson pushes him and he trips and then falls into Brunson. I'm like, this should be a foul on Brunson. Like he pushed him
yeah,
right into him. But just he's always in the right spot. I feel like collectively their defense is playing pretty high level against a pretty star heavy team. That's going to keep them in games. So they may not win the series, but I think I've been impressed overall with their defense. If Jalen Johnson can get anything going offensively, like
that's what I
they
was
have a
gonna say.
chance because him and Alexander Walker have done hardly anything.
Nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been kind of held in check. I mean, this matchup's not good for them because I mean,
Yeah.
they're having Bridges and OG guard them, and
Hmm.
I mean, those are two of the best wing defenders in the NBA. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I mean, the matchup's not the greatest for them, but you get games like where CJ scores 32, which is he's a factor, and he's the one that needs to do it because he's got the matchup. I mean, because if Brunson's going to guard him, but Brunson's probably I think he's guarding Dyson Daniels for the most part, and they're doing what I had mentioned that they should do,
Hmm.
where they just leave him alone.
Yeah.
But the same thing happens on the other side though with Josh Hart. I mean, they just leave Josh Hart alone, so it's like kind of balances out better than I had anticipated. But
Yeah.
I think they gotta keep getting games from CJ, which at his age and the way he's at where he's at in his career, I don't know if he can keep that level of play up, but
Hmm.
I don't put it past Jalen Johnson to figure it out eventually, like
Yeah.
how to step up.
Yeah, for sure. I think ideally they can win both at home, but even if they steal one, obviously they'll have to steal one more in New York to win the series. But they're hanging around a little bit more than I
Yeah,
thought, so that's been a fun for me. But what couple teams have stuck out to you?
yeah, those two were good. I I've obviously OKC looked great. Um, I guess I'll go into, let's go into some of the negative teams here because I wanted to say the Lakers look good and their role player, like Marcus Smart and Kennard are playing out of their minds. But
Hmm.
I think that's more to do with with the Rockets being absolute trash.
Yeah.
I mean, they this is where I always get in arguments with people and like my dad and the older folks where they're like, oh, the 3 point line, it doesn't matter, and if some teams will just adopt the old style of play where you bang it inside and you'll whatever you rely on, I guess, the percentages of being a higher percent inside game, then they'll win. And it's like, watch this series. This series is exactly the reason why old school 80s, 90s style basketball just would never work. It just doesn't work. You have an elite mid range scorer in KD. You have an elite post scorer in Sengun, and you have no shooters on the floor. like
Yeah.
Amin Thompson's not going to shoot. Jabari Smith will shoot, but not make the high percentage. Tari Eason not going to make a high percentage. You have Reed Shepherds, who's a good shooter, but they don't even play him because
Yeah.
he's such a horrible defender, and he's kind of careless with the ball that like you can't play him, and he's your best 3 point shooter. Career wise, Dodo or Dorian Finney-Smith, for those who don't know, he's career wise been a great 3 point shooter. Now he's had a horrible season this year, so they're not playing him because of that. Um, so it's like they, I don't know what they have no chance. I mean, especially if Luka comes back at any point this series,
Hmm.
they certainly have no chance. And I thought they would kind of breeze through this series, but I was wrong about that one.
Yeah. Best case, it'll go 6, if not 7 for them now, So
Maybe.
it's going to have to turn around quick. And I do agree. I mean, isn't it crazy to think like 5 years ago how the Rockets were like the 3 point shooting team in the NBA?
Yeah, with Harden
And
and all them.
yeah,
Well, I
I
guess
mean, I
not
know
even. I don't
things
know.
change quick, but even the last couple of years, like just total switch, no shooters.
Nothing. Nothing. And yeah, we'll get into some of our stuff, the main topics we're going to talk about today, but they're on one of my lists for people to watch out for, as far
Yeah.
as teams to tear it up. Um, other teams, I mean, I think people are really down on the Pistons right now because of what Orlando did, and they're playing tonight. I think
Hmm.
they're probably on the late game, but I don't know. Um, I'm not worried. I don't think. I just think you ended up getting like they just got the short end of a stick as far as Orlando decided to show up. Paolo's probably heard enough from the critics and stuff. He just came out and like tore him up because you got a awesome game from Cade, and I
Hmm.
think role players are just gonna eventually figure out the way to go. Especially, I mean, I trust JB Bickerstaff as well, but I think that people are wrong to be so down on them as far as like they're gonna lose this series or something. I don't see
Yeah,
that.
I don't see it either. I mean, I do get it's cause for concern, but I feel like it's early on. They were coming off a little bit of a break, and the Magic were coming off a big win in Charlotte, and got nothing to lose at this point other than what we'll get into later with the off season potentially. But
Yeah, right.
I think, yeah, I mean, stealing one, that's a big get for them in Detroit, but I still see the Pistons winning probably in 5 or 6. So
Yeah, me
we'll
too.
see how tonight goes. Might be a quick turn of the tables.
Yeah, the only other team to really talk about is the Spurs and what they're going to do if Wemby has to miss a game, which I don't think he will. They play 70. Oh, it's not. Listen, when he got hurt, you have to sit. I think they said 48 hours after you're diagnosed with concussion, and then their next
Yeah.
game was 72 hours. So he had a whole day or so to get it figured out. Um, I don't predict him missing that game, but did you see the fall?
I did, yeah. I wasn't
Yeah,
watching live, but I saw it pretty shortly after, and
what a
it didn't.
wild fall. It was like
Yeah,
I watched it like 5 or 6 times and could not figure out how he couldn't get a hand underneath him or just
maybe
straight
it's
onto his
something
face,
about
man.
being 7'4" or whatever. But I'm like, if
Yeah.
I'm ever falling like that, I mean, at least I'm like turning my face to the side, at the very least.
Yeah. I know
But
he was passing the ball,
yeah,
but I just can't understand how you're passing the ball like this and then you can't get your sorry about that. You can't get your hands back to I don't know. It was
yeah,
kind of wild to watch like what an unfortunate circumstance. Like,
Just everything about him is so goofy, so it's not surprising. But
yeah,
even like pregame, watching him walk out of the tunnel, my fiance was like, "Ugh, why does he look like?" I'm like, "That's just how he looks." Like she's like, he looks like Slender Man." I'm
yeah.
like, "Yeah, pretty much."
I think he dressed up as Slender Man for one
Yeah, he did.
Halloween or something.
Which I mean, good on him. That's perfect.
Yeah, it fits well.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned. I do feel like he'll be back either by next game, if not shortly after, and they should be have enough firepower to beat the Blazers. But here's my question: so your number one player is out, right? Who's supposed to step up when you lose one of your starters?
I guess you're sixth man.
Oh yeah, maybe the sixth man of the year. Guess what his line was?
Oh,
7, 4, and 1.
there you go.
Terrible. Just
Lucky
disgusting.
he's lucky the voting closed.
Yeah, well, apparently not, according to Bill Simmons. Made me change your vote last minute, Bill.
Right, right. So to go transition to our topics for today, we're gonna go over a little bit of a who's on the hot seat. Can be teams that are in the playoffs, can be teams that are coaches that missed the playoffs. Can be whole teams if you wanted it to. Kind of like who's gonna blow it up if things don't go well. I know that you sent me a text earlier with a couple names. Do you want to start out with who's on your list?
Yeah, I'll start with one. I mean, just since we already mentioned it, I think the Magic. I don't think it's team related as much. They don't have as much power to change too much going into next year. But I think Mosley, his name is their coach, has kind of come up. Uh, Obviously, a little bit more before they beat Charlotte and made the playoffs officially. But I think even this, say they lose to the Pistons as we're kind of expecting, they've kind of stumbled their way into the playoffs more or less. They had a decent run towards the middle of the season, but other than that, it's kind of been kind of hot and cold, and obviously a lot of injuries factored into that. But I think there's a little bit of waning confidence, and is he going to be the right fit? Is he going to be the one that kind of staggers the minutes for guys accordingly? And I don't know. I just don't see him necessarily getting the most out of his stars. I feel like Boncaro's had a quietly okay to good year, and then obviously Franz has been banged up, but even bringing in Bane, we kind of thought Bane would have a little bit more of a role than he did this year. And not that he had a bad year, but it just seems like a little bit of underperformance across the board from what they should do. So I don't know if there's, internally any sort of loss in confidence of the Magic's front office, but I feel like that's one name I would watch just because they're kind of, especially in the East when it's a little bit more top heavy, I feel like if they're going to make some change to try and jump into the next echelon of top teams, like it's got to be either moving on from one of Franz or Paolo most likely, or making a coaching change. And I just don't see them necessarily dumping Franz or Paolo right now because contract stuff, and they haven't really played together too much yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think they'll make a coaching change first because Mosley's been there for so long, and just like kind of been mediocre. I mean, I think they've outright made the playoffs like once or twice in his tenure. So it's like I just don't think that he's such a great defensive coach, and when he was with Dallas, he was such a great defensive coach, and like maybe he just doesn't have the chops to figure out how to run an offense and be the head guy. So I don't know. He's had a long leash. He's been like I said, he's been that coach for a while now. And, and he's had Paolo pretty much his whole tenure, and he's had Franz pretty much his whole tenure, and you just haven't been able to really like make the pieces work. That being said, I don't know the last time they had a decent point guard, like maybe DJ Augustine back in a couple, 3 or 4 years ago. But I just think this team is really oddly built, and I don't know if that's his fault or more management's fault, but I think he'll get the axe before management will.
Yeah, I think so too. And I do think Suggs can be that point guard that they need. He's just, his weakness is that he's almost always hurt, it feels like.
Yeah.
He probably misses a little over a quarter to a third of the games every year and sometimes more. So until he can prove that he's durable enough to last a season and lead him into the playoffs, like I think they've got to change something. I wish that they would get rid of Franz or Paolo
Yeah.
and bring in somebody else that fits better, or let Bain kind of be the number two type guy or Suggs. But yeah, it's kind of a strange construction. And like you said, defensively, the Magic were sixth this year in the East in defense, total defense, and like ninth in total offense. So very much kind of middle of the road. It's
Yeah.
they got to take a step, most likely offensively, but they got to do something to kind of get themselves out of this kind of pit in some sense.
I mean, I don't know if they are the top team payroll wise, but they're up there.
Yeah.
So it's like that's where I kind of like dance back and forth on like, yeah, Jamal Mosley will probably be fired if they lose in five, or I mean if they push this series pretty good, then
Yeah.
maybe he has a chance, but um, I don't know what they do roster wise that doesn't involve like trading
Hmm.
one of those top dudes,
Right.
because they need the flexibility, they need the picks, they need the all this stuff. Like I don't know, especially in a draft like this coming up. I mean,
Hmm.
you could see. I don't think Paolo's the way to go because I think he is your best player. He's super inefficient, but like I mean,
Yeah.
but I think you trade Franz, you can get up in this draft pretty high and
Yeah.
take a pretty solid player. So
If I were them, I would definitely be looking to say, hey, Franz, and a second for your top, eight pick
yeah.
potentially, depending on who. I don't know who's going to want to move out of those picks, but
I mean,
shoot, just
look
call
at
Sacramento. They're willing to
yeah. I
do
was gonna
some
say.
weird stuff.
I was gonna say call Sacramento. They'll do anything.
Yeah. So that would be my first inclination if I were front office there of like, hey, I don't think this roster construction is working. Not that we're that far off, but we got to find something that gels a little bit better. So
For sure.
yeah, that was my first one. We can go into one of yours, or you want me to go in the second one?
Yeah, we'll go to your second one because it's like second on my list. It's super interesting. Steve Kerr. That was an interesting one. I mean, everybody,
Hmm.
if you are a basketball fan, you heard the mic'd up chat between him, Draymond, and Steph, and then so then that happens, and then Draymond goes and just goes wild on the bench and gets ejected and all this stuff. So like, I think there's a high possibility that both those guys are not on the roster. Like the Warriors either trade Draymond somewhere or and they fire Kerr. But
Hmm.
I don't. The question I have for you is for Kerr. Does Jimmy Butler being out because of the ACL, does that kind of like save his job? Because he's like, well, I had this roster that had Jimmy Butler be the best player. I mean, I'm second best, I guess, to Steph, but um, was supposed to be this one-two punch, and then just tore his ACL. Unfortunate.
I mean, I think it's kind of a twofold for me. So I feel like Steve Kerr's job is safe if he wants it. What I'm hearing and reading is mostly, I mean, even their owner was like, look, I love Steve. I want to keep him. But if Steve's mindset is not like, I want to win next year and I want to do it, all out, let's go 100%. If I'm not at that place, like, we got to look elsewhere because no, obviously he's meant so much to their franchise and it's gotten them so many championships and kind of built a culture there. But if he's kind of, in this like not retirement, but just kind of like, I don't know if I'm all into this, I think they really want to move on at that point. So he's got to decide probably in the next couple of months. So it's kind of a tricky, like, I don't think they want to see him go. Like Draymond was like, that's my coach. I don't want to see him go. I don't know if I'm going to be here next year, but if I am, that's who I want to coach me. So I'm like, I think he's safe unless he's kind of feels like he's done on his own terms. So I'm curious what he ends up deciding.
Yeah, yeah. It certainly didn't. It certainly sounded like he's. I was like his, hey guys, I appreciate what y'all done for me. I'm out of here, kind of
Hmm.
thing. So, I wouldn't be shocked if he resigns or I don't think the Warriors will fire him, like you said. I think he'll
Yeah,
come out and give a big presser on like, hey, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm gonna go back to broadcasting or something like that. Something
yeah,
more cush than traveling everywhere doing this coaching stuff.
right. I mean,
Um,
they had such a rough go of it this year with all their injuries and
for sure.
just back to backs and every like man they I don't know. It seemed like it really took a toll on him this year to where I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a month or two off and is like, all right, I'll do it one more year.
Yeah.
Draymond's gonna be back. Steph will be back. Jimmy will get him back at some point in the year. Like, let's give it one more ride. But I think he's just burnt out right now after everything they went through.
Yeah, yeah. I just wonder if like I said, you got to look at it. Or like I was thinking, you got to look at it and be like, is the roster good enough to really compete where it's worth it for Kerr to go? Like, I know you
Yeah.
have Steph, and if Jimmy comes back, but what level of Jimmy are you going to get with his age and the ACL injury happening so late, kind of later in the year?
Hmm.
Um, so it's like I don't know what does Pods move the needle? And you lose Moody, like Moody's going to be out probably all of next year.
Yeah.
So it's like who do you have a lottery pick? That's cool. Like, but I don't know what you're particularly coming back for to get the sixth seed and fight through San Antonio and fight through Oklahoma City and fight through Boston again, like and better
Hmm.
Detroit and all this stuff. Like I just don't know why. He's a
Yeah.
competitor, so maybe that's why, but I don't know.
It's going to take some moves in the offseason for sure. I mean, obviously, Giannis was kind of high on their
Yeah.
radar at the middle of the season, which I think Draymond would have to be moved in that sort of deal because they got rid of Kaminga. And I
And
guess,
Porzingis will need to go.
yeah, so they'll have to get creative with that. But that's probably the turning point if they're going to run it back is, hey, we've got to get another top talent in here this offseason or else I'm probably not sticking around. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think there's any reason to other than for a swan song, and both of them have already kind of said, yeah, we don't really want that. We just want to have another run with a chance to win. Like, I don't care about saying goodbye. We've already kind of done that. So
Right.
yeah, I, I'm not thinking he's going to get fired, but I'd probably say he's 50-50 right now if he wants to come back. So just something to watch because I think Steph is definitely back and some of their other teammates will be too. So that kind of impacts them quite a bit to where if he doesn't come back, it's not that they can't find another good coach, but I feel like it's more about the personnel that's going to dictate if they're any good next year or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I think anybody would want to coach Steph. So
Yeah.
I don't think they'll have a hard time finding somebody to come do that. But kind of start of my list, I had one player and two whole teams. So
Nice.
my one player is
Please say the Kings. Please say the Kings.
no, they already blew it up. They suck already. You can't tear down a team any more than I guess they got to trade Sabonis. But is my player is Joel Embiid. I think that it's so unfortunate. Like I hate that he had appendicitis and like oh man,
Yeah.
that's just like what do you do? But like the Sixers, they've got to move on from him. He had a good end of the year, but every single year you're going to have to deal with this. And like
Yeah.
you could trade him and get solid pieces, a good pick. Who knows what pick you can get in this draft maybe. Several picks going forward to build around Maxi and VJ. And I just think that you've got to just rid yourself of this, like, because it's just team building. It's like, okay, we have this all-star former MVP center who can still put up 26 and 10 and whatever a block and stuff like that, but like we never know when we're going to have him. So like yeah, we have this
Yeah.
offense built around him, but he's not there. So I just think for the future of the team, you got to move on from him.
Yeah. It's time to end the process, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so.
Process is over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's I mean anything to note on that one?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've never been on the side of like Embiid is part of the problem of that process
Yeah.
until the last probably year. Uh, at that point, I was like, I'm never picking this guy in fantasy ever again. And because you just, like you said, you don't know when he's going to be available and when he's not. And then he is available for a time, and you're like, great, he's back. He looks good. And then he's not. So I think at this point, obviously you've got Max, you've got VJ, you got a few other guys that you can really craft your team around that you can go out and get a big man that
Yeah.
is going to fit your team probably even a little bit better than what Embiid has done for you, which obviously Embiid might be a little bit more talented overall than some of these guys, but I don't know. I feel like you've
What?
at this point it's Maxi's team,
Yeah.
and we kind of have to buy into that a little bit. For a long time, it was this is Embiid's team. We're gonna try and fit these pieces around, and we're gonna bring in, Simmons and George and Tobias and I mean, just
Who
fill in the
knows?
blank with guys that they've rotated through Harden. And, you
Yeah.
know, I think at this point it's like, all right, it's not Embiid's team anymore. If he's there, great, but we kind of need to find a way to move on. And contractually, I don't think any other team's going to want to pay him the money that he's due. So,
So much money.
yeah, I don't know what they're going to do on that front, but I
Yeah.
think you've got to start making hard decisions for the future.
I hate to say it, but dial up the Kings again.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if you can maybe call the Kings and say, hey, like maybe we'll do a Sabonis for Embiid and some other stuff. Who knows who has to give what on that? I don't know who
yeah,
gives what. Who's winning that trade as far as like maybe maybe the Sixers have to give picks up for health purposes. Who knows? But I think Sabonis you get. And this season he was hurt a lot, but like his career, he's a pretty healthy guy, so you get 70 games of Sabonis versus 25 of Embiid. I think you're taking
yeah.
that all day, and that could fit really well. But that's I don't get paid the amount of money necessary to make those decisions. So
Yeah,
so
talk about a trade that's going to get nixed by physicals.
yeah, that'd be tough. And my first team here that I was gonna that I we talked about a little bit ago is I think if the Rockets get swept maybe or
Oof, yeah.
if they don't push it to I think if they don't win this series honestly
Hmm.
depending if Reeves and if Luka come back then maybe that changes my mind a little bit but um, if they don't come back and they still lose the series, oh man, big changes. I think they're going to be
Yeah,
huge changes. I don't know if it's like Kevin Durant leaving. I don't know if it's Sengun getting traded. I don't know what the deal is, but they need a full roster shakeup. I think it's not working. They don't have. They can't shoot the ball. They cannot shoot the basketball at all.
yeah. Can you
It's
imagine
horrible
how
to watch.
upset Durant's got to be right now?
Yeah.
Just
Well,
like, I came here for this.
he already made a comment earlier this season that like he's like, yeah, I'm the leading scorer on the team or something like that, and said that's a problem because like I didn't come here to be the best player on the team. I didn't come to if
Yeah.
I didn't come here to have to score 30 points to win games. I came here
Hmm.
to close it and be like, okay, like it's kind of stagnant right now. Let me get 8 or 9 points in a row here, and then we'll get moving again. But like
Yeah.
they don't have any point guards. They don't have any shooting. They have like those are huge factors, and especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they
It's
don't
just
have any backup big men either. So
yeah. Well,
they've kind of,
yeah. I liked
I mean,
Adams. He was so good, and then he got hurt. But bummer.
yeah, but even that, at this point in his career, like he's solid at what he does, but what he does isn't that
Yeah.
impactful.
Right.
So they need somebody that's at least like a fourth, fifth option behind some of those guys you mentioned that is going to help them out, and they just don't have that right now. So I do think there will be changes coming. I think Udoka's probably safe there, but it'll be more
Yeah, I think so.
pieces related. Obviously, they'll get Van Vliet back, and that's great, but he's aging too, so I don't
Yeah.
know what necessarily helps them other than what they draft, which isn't going to probably be too much, and then whoever they can sign in the offseason. But yeah, I'm curious what they're going to do because it's not looking particularly great for them.
No, I think the only person that's safe on that roster is Amin Thompson. I think you need him, and he's great and awesome defender. And but he did show that he has his limitations on defense as far as like LeBron made him look like a little baby out there, and he's 41 years old. So
Well, he is a little baby compared to LeBron.
yeah, I mean I get it. There's what did he say? Like 32% of the league, probably, or of 32% of all players in the NBA he's played against, and
Yeah.
so like all of them look like babies to LeBron. Anyway, I think that team is just. I was kind of optimistic about them at the beginning of the year, but I mean, no point guards, tough.
Yeah.
My next team here I think they're not in the playoffs. I think it's the Pelicans. I think they're going
Hmm.
to major blow up. Like
Yeah.
they went on this big like, oh, we don't have a pick this year, so we're gonna really try for the play in, and they went 4-11, and they had Zion play 62 games,
Yeah.
and so like you had your best player play 62 games I mean, I don't know if it's first time in his career, but definitely the first time in the last 3 or 4 seasons, which you've like hung your hat on. We've been bad. Oh well, Zion's missed all these games and he's the best player and he's out
Hmm.
of shape and blah blah blah. He was in amazing shape this year. Played 62 games, had decent games, had a decent season. Like 60% from the field and I mean 25% from three, but he's not a 3 point shooter. Um, and you still could only win 26 games.
Yeah,
That's brutal.
yeah, they've got major problems for sure, and I I don't know what. Obviously, a lot of their signings we've been kind of anti what they've done the past couple off seasons, and not quite to Kings level, but just kind of like a. I mean, what? Why would you do that kind of thing? Even as much as the Derek Queen pick, like
Yeah.
it just didn't seem like the right fit. And they had some good games this year to where you could see some flashes of talent, some of the younger guys they have, but then you get veterans like DeJounte Murray coming back in, and clearly Trey Murphy's their best trade piece because I don't think they're going to move Zion, but between those two, arguably,
Oh,
you
they
got
have
to
to move Zion.
probably move one of them, right? So I just don't know who's going to want to take Zion on their roster.
Yeah. Again, you have to find one of these bottom feeders that's like call the Nets maybe or something like they got a bunch of picks there and I don't know. Maybe I know that in the past New York has been in talks with Zion and stuff like when people talk about it, but I don't think he fits there and unless they want to give up on Cat. But I don't know. He's been okay this playoff. So, um, yeah, I think Zion's gone. I think Herb Jones is gone. I think Murphy's gone. They already traded Alvarado.
Hmm.
Um, I think maybe Yves Missy might be gone, but I think he's still young enough to fit in the Queen Fears timeline that they're going to go off of now. Or well, if they do the trades and stuff, I think that's the direction they should go. Get as many picks as you can. Start building
Hmm.
around Fears and the Queen, and go from there.
Yeah, it's kind of a interesting. Like if you look back to when they traded Davis for, all those players, Ball and Ingram and
Hart.
picks and stuff. Yeah, Hart, Randall, I think too. So they had a lot of young talent at that point, and then they had a lot of picks in the years right after that, and they got Zion out of that, and it's like what did that all amount to? Essentially, you got rid of all those guys you traded for shortly after, and then
Yeah.
the picks. Really, the only one that was notable was Zion, and he's kind of been in and out most of the last couple seasons. So they haven't really had much to show for it the last roughly 10 years. That I feel like you gotta kind of start fresh, like you're saying, of just hey, like let's really stockpile young talent and picks, and let's try again because last time we didn't really even try that
Yeah.
method, in my opinion.
No, they didn't, and I think they kind of got on a unfortunate. I don't know because they haven't been that good. It's kind of hard because like I was gonna try to compare it to kind of what the way Luca did with Dallas, where Luca came in and was so good after year one that
Hmm.
Dallas had no chance to build in the draft, so they had to like go out and make these moves. But Zion came in and they were still kind of bad, and they got Trey Murphy and Herb Jones and all these guys, and it's like they still just couldn't. In theory, those guys should fit all together, but they just don't, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
Culture.
yeah,
I mean, that team organization I just hear is not that great anyway. So it's like
right.
I don't know. Bad coaches. I mean, Willie Green not great, and so I don't know. So I have them on the blow up list, and
Yeah,
that's kind of those are the two teams that I had as far as teams I think will definitely probably blow it up.
yeah. I think we've seen some of the other bad ones. Like the Grizzlies have already essentially blown it up, not quite fully, but pretty close.
Yeah.
Uh, Sacramento, I do think they've got a lot of moves to make, but I'm not super optimistic
But
that they'll actually do anything.
who
So
wants any of those players? Like who wants
yeah,
Sabonis? I mean, Sabonis is probably the most intriguing player because he can be such a hub, but he's horrible defensively. And
yeah,
it's like, okay, cool. So, and then you have Zach LaVine on like a $40 million contract and DeMar DeRozan on a $30 million contract or something. So it's like, who wants these guys?
right. And that was why they couldn't really move them. Obviously, Sabonis was hurt too, so it's like no one's taking them this year in off season. Obviously it's not going to get much easier. So yeah, that is definitely their problem is they can't find anyone to offload these guys to. But yeah, I guess they've just got to wait it out if they can't move them to see what they can do next. Thankfully, they'll probably get a top 5, top 6 pick this draft, and that might help them a little bit. But yeah, they're kind of stuck.
So they can draft a cuff and then just have like, okay, cool, we got a shorter De'Aaron Fox. Like,
Yeah, I mean
awesome.
it's in the name. He is a cuff.
Yeah, bad.
It's gonna be it's gonna be tough for them to get out of this hole.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens there, and kind of we'll keep an eye on it, and let us know like if you think that there's a team that you know that may blow it up, or players in the hot seat, or coaches in the hot seat. Let us know what you think as we move on to our next segment here, where we're gonna be a little more positive about this one. We're gonna talk about some best young cores and kind of teams that may have been a little bad this year that we think will turn it around and have better seasons next year. Ben, did you want to start with one of your teams?
Yeah, so I mean I think it's maybe relatively obvious to some of us, but I think Indiana obviously has a very bright year next year with Halliburton coming back as kind of the big first step. Um, it's not quite the same. I was trying to think of comparable seasons where like this last couple of years like the Pistons and the Spurs have really turned around from kind of worst to first in some ways. Indiana could certainly jump right back into that with having their best player back and having Zubac next year in the pick and roll with
Yeah,
Halliburton. See who they draft this first round coming up. They're going to be pretty loaded down with talent to where if they're fully healthy, which they should be, they could easily jump back into the playoff picture, if not one of the top 4 seeds. So I think they've got some young guys that are still ready to go. So I think they're probably my number one just off the top. Like, yeah, obviously it's hard to be worse than they were this year, but I think they're going to have better fits. Like Nemhard's not really a number one as we've
no,
seen this year,
kind of showed
but
it.
he can be, a solid either 6-man or just another solid supporting guard with Halliburton in the starting lineup. So
For
I think
sure.
they've definitely got a lot of pieces there that can turn them around from last year.
Yeah, I think Zubac has been. I mean, that trade was genius for next
Yeah,
year, and then they sit him the whole year, so it's like he doesn't even have any pressure to come play and show now. So like, you're gonna get a whole off season of Halliburton, and now I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with that much, but I wonder with Halliburton's like shingles issue that's going on with him right now. I don't know how much that's going to affect. I know shingles is super serious, and like
it is.
it's painful, and you got to. I don't think he can even play basketball right now. So I don't know how long that lingers, but I don't think it should affect anything going into like next season unless it
Yeah,
flares back up at some point.
yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, you're right. He's definitely been dealing with that recently. I don't think he's fully through it yet, but I think by the end of the off season, he'll definitely be fine.
Yeah,
How much that impacts off season workouts and all that, he's been he's been ramping up, but I don't think it's gonna long term affect him too much. So hopefully that's not an issue at all. But either way, I do feel like the pieces around him they're primed for at least probably 30 win increase. I would
oh
say
yeah,
20,
for sure.
25 minimum. So
I think they'll easily be top 4 in the East next year if they stay healthy and stuff. I think they'll be right up there with New York and Boston and
yeah,
Detroit and
Cleveland and
Cleveland.
Detroit.
I think they'll
Yeah,
be pushing for those seeds right there, and they'll knock teams like Toronto. They'll knock them down, and Charlotte
yeah,
probably gets knocked. I don't know. Maybe Charlotte's on my list as well. I mean, I know they were on yours too, but
yeah.
their young core is really good. They need to just make a few moves here and there, and they have some free agent stuff that they got to deal with, like Kobe White. He's a free agent
Hmm.
this year, unrestricted, I believe.
Hmm.
So he could just walk, and so they got to retain some of these guys.
Yeah. So what would you do if you're Charlotte? Obviously, you have a big run at the end of the year. They started off pretty bad, and then they turned it around, made the play in, didn't quite make the playoffs. But going into next year, we agree they have the pieces, some young pieces. But what do you do to kind of get into the playoffs without having to face the play in?
I mean, they got to have more depth than they had this season. I mean, they added Kobe White was a good add. I just think I like the idea of like turning a guy like Miles Bridges into a couple guys off the bench, or maybe a guy
Yep.
and then a pick later or something in the draft or something like that.
Hmm.
Because I think that you could have uh, Brandon Miller take a bigger role next year. He's had some injury stuff, so maybe not. But and I think I have to be careful when I say here, because I am not a believer in LaMelo Ball. I mean, I think he's fun. I think he's flashy. I was listening to the LeBron's podcast, Mind the Game, and he was
Hmm.
talking about it. He was like, LaMelo Ball, it wants to win. You can see it when you talk to him and when like I don't know interviews and the way he passes the ball and stuff like that. But like, if you're gonna take one-legged fadeaway threes, like you're not that serious about winning. Or if you're going to sit there and shoot 16 threes and make two of them, like eventually change the game, change what you're
Yeah.
doing. Like you're not showing that you want to win. So stuff like that. And then I don't know. It's just I just don't. I think there are more. I think there are better fits at point guard than him and what he brings. But
Sure.
that's
Yeah,
kind of,
and
but that's a big move. I don't know. I don't think they'll do that. But that's like something that I
yeah,
personally, I don't believe in him as a winning player.
I agree. I think we've been on the same page with that for a while. Having said that, obviously we both also agree they're probably not going to move on from him. So
Yeah,
with that, I do think Bridges has got to go. Uh, Not because he's not a contributor. I think as he's proven, like he can help you win a game, like we saw in the play-in for sure.
yeah,
But can he help you win a series? I don't know if he's kind of that piece that you need. If they had another impact player or a couple younger guys that can help them take another leap next year, I think it's a little bit more about fit too. Because like you said, Miller, Diabate, they can take steps forward. They got Kalkbrenner as another backup big.
yeah,
Obviously, if they've got Khan and Lomelo, and they may need a guard replacement for White, but those are kind of the moves that you can make if you trade Bridges to someone, get somebody back, or get a better draft pick and kind of get that impact player that you need. So that's who I would be looking to move, just based on how he fits with the team. I think it's not that he's a bad fit per se, but I do think that you might have a better impact from someone else. That he's kind of streaky to where if he's not
yeah,
on, he's more of a detriment than he is helping you. So I think it's got to be somebody that's Khan just came in and I think he was exactly what they needed. So if
oh
you can
for
find
sure.
somebody not in Khan's role but in kind of that 3-4 role,
Right, that's kind of what I was
that's what
thinking.
I
Is
need.
that you're a team that prided itself on like you know live by the three, die by the three,
Hmm.
but the one of the guys that took the most was a lower 30% 3 point shooter like in Bridges. So it's like okay,
Yeah,
if you're gonna really invest in like this, like we're gonna live by the three, die by the three, and then you have Diabate and Kalkbrenner be like your uber offensive rebounding, give us a lot of chances at this. Then you need somebody that's a better 3 point shooter at the four than that.
yeah.
But does that sacrifice a lot of defense? You can, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. There's teams out there where you can find the
I
guys,
mean,
but
what I was thinking is, what if you just go get Trey Murphy? Like, why isn't that a
yeah,
good
Trey
fit for
Murphy would be
you? Like
great.
that, I could see that really working to where he's similar to Bridges. He's a little bit better shooter, a little bit more of a scorer, but he's not going to let you down on the defensive side.
Hmm.
And I feel like with a point guard in Lamelo, like Trey really hasn't had that in New Orleans. They could probably work that out.
Yeah,
I don't think Khan gets in the way of any of that either. And I mean, it's nice to have a stretch 3-and-D guy like Murphy is, and he's got the
that's another thing.
experience.
You're right. That's another thing they need, and he would be a great point of attack defender. Kind of. They don't have a point of attack defender. I think Brandon Miller's their guy, kind of.
Yeah,
So, and Kobe White, I guess if they bring him back. But even though those two guys aren't the I wouldn't necessarily call, especially Kobe White, I wouldn't call him like a defensive minded point
yeah,
guard. But maybe you find something in the draft where you find some defensive minded guy. I don't know. I don't know where their picks are. I think they probably have. Oh, maybe they. I don't know if they even have a pick in the lottery this year, but
I don't think
I
so. I
think they
think they're
might have
right
had to
outside of
convey
it.
it to somebody.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Maybe at Golden State or Oklahoma City or something. But I can't remember.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I can move down to my next team, and we can talk about this shortly because we can probably go into really a lot of depth in this. But I think the Dallas Mavs have a good chance of like having definitely a better season than they had this year. You get Cooper Flag, who's going to be on his second year. You get Kyrie back. You get Lively back. I pray every day that he has a better, like, more healthy season next year. And then any year he's had. But they fired their medical staff. Apparently, had missed this big foot injury that he's had for the last 2 years. So I have a lot, and then they have a lottery pick this year that could be good. If that, like, I think a lot of people are mocking like Mikael Brown to come down,
Hmm.
which I really love that if they can get that done. Um, I like the guys they traded for from Washington. I mean, I like Bagley. I don't think Middleton is here next year because I just think that he's gonna get too much money somewhere else. But that'd be good if he came back here on like a mid-level thing or something.
Yeah,
Who knows?
it'd
But
have to be less money, but I don't think we're going to be able to swing it where he's at now.
yeah, no, definitely not what he's making now. He's got to take a pay cut. But I think they trade Gafford this offseason. I think they can bring in either they get picks and stuff, but like they bring in like an impactful stretch five maybe. It's like throw it like something a little wrinkle into things. But I really like what they've kind of the position they've kind of put themselves in, and Kyrie coming back is going to be huge.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So
sure. I mean, you're starting to sound like a Cowboys fan here with how optimistic it's going to be this year.
I am a
But
Cowboys fan, and I do say every year that they probably this will be the one where they do something, and then
no, I do
never
think
turns out.
obviously the Mavs will take a step up next year. It's just kind of how much of a step are they going to improve by 10 wins, 15 wins, 20 wins? I
Yeah,
think it'll probably be somewhere in the middle. They'll probably hover around 500 next year, which might get you in the playoffs. But they could have a little bit more depending on what offseason moves they make and who they draft. But
yeah.
uh,
I mean, they have
yeah,
they have pieces that people want. I mean, like PJ and Najee are teams want them, and so if they can trade one of them, I love PJ. I hope they don't trade him, but like if they trade Najee, I'm not too connected to Najee. Like they
yeah,
trade Najee for another shooter or something, and then they bring Clay back. Clay will be on the roster, but whether they trade him or not, I don't know. But then you have like a decent shooting around Cooper Flag. I like the
hmm
roster.
yeah. I think the shooting is much needed. I think between PJ and Najee, if you go Najee, and then between Gafford and Lively, if you get rid of one of the two of both of those, like they're kind of expendable in my eyes. So
Yeah.
that'll help you bring in another shooter or another piece that, or maybe another draft pick that you can use to kind of continue to build some youth there, and especially it will help with the contract situation because we haven't been kind of been strapped by that too to bring in anybody that we really want. So
Yeah.
hopefully those moves can be made this offseason. I think we've kind of put that off to some extent for the last couple of years, just navigating not having really any first round picks to deal with, but
Yeah. Right.
definitely optimistic considering what we've seen from Flag and you know where we know that we can go considering the last couple of years before that.
No, for sure. I think they're in a good spot. They got two draft picks this year. If they end up, I don't know if the lottery doesn't fall. If the lottery falls, great for them. Let's
Oh
say,
yeah.
and they get a guy like Peterson or Love, or not Love, Peterson or Wilson or
Hmm.
um, even DeBonsa. I mean, you'd have to get the number one pick, I think, for that. But they can jump up in the top four. I don't particularly like Boozer for this team, but
Yeah.
I don't know. He's talented, so maybe that too. But I think I think that would be awesome. But if they end up staying at 8, and then they have 30, you add two, and this draft is deep, so it's like you add two pretty impactful rookies. I think
Yeah.
fit well. One more team I was going to ask you about what you think about next year is the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really think they're going to be pretty good next year. Hopefully, if they
Yeah.
don't decide to tank again.
Well, we definitely we've talked about this to where we think realistically they could be top six in the West. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of I think 6, 7 was kind of what we ended up at. Um, realistically, I think 7 is probably on the table for them. I
Yeah.
they're going to have a relatively new starting lineup with some of these guys coming in. If they're healthy, they're going to have 3 7-footers and Keontae George and either Ace Bailey or I don't know who their second guard would be. Maybe they draft one.
Yeah, and they have top five.
Or
I mean, they're gonna have a definitely a top lot like top 10 pick, but
yeah, top eight I
maybe
think
top
is
five.
guaranteed. But yeah, maybe top five. So they're going to have some young talent there too. So they really do have, I think, a very promising next couple of years, assuming everyone's healthy. So
Yeah,
I'll be curious to see how the shooting is. I think that could be their only weak spot. Obviously, Jaren's not the best shooter. Kessler doesn't really shoot anything other than dunks.
yeah,
You got Laurie and you got Keontae, who's kind of a notorious 40 to 45% shooter. So he's not, his volume is there for sure, but
yeah,
efficiency could be a problem with him. And then you've got Laurie, who is relatively efficient, but outside of that, who's really going to take the leap forward in scoring? They're going to have to rely on Jaren to improve a little bit and space the floor. He's not the greatest 3-point shooter, but
yeah.
you're going to clog the lane too much if you've got Kessler in there, you've got Jaren in there, and Laurie hovering around there. So, and then if Nurkic is back, God forbid, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of young talent to where if we're talking about young cores, we've got to mention them as somebody who has definitely a lot of pieces to, if they can put them together, jump into the playoff picture in the West, going from one of the worst to a playoff team.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I liked what they did with the Jaren Jackson Jr. move. I think that they really capitalized on the Grizzlies situation, and so, and when Laurie and Jaren played together, I mean, they looked great. It's just that the Jazz said like, okay, cool, we'll give y'all 20 minutes together, and then for like 3 games, and then they were like, all right, y'all are good for the season. We're happy with what we did. Cool beans.
Yeah.
And then they moved, and then they just shut them down for the rest of the year. And then I think they need big steps from guys like Sensabaugh and even like Cody Wilson. But I mean Cody Williams. I don't think that they get that step from Cody Williams. Now, also Ace Bailey is a big one where
Right.
they need him to take another step year 2 and be a little more, I think, efficient than he was this year. Better 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
But I mean, they got young pieces. They got proven veterans. Like, I think that they could, for sure, be pushing for the playoffs. I mean, definitely in the playoffs, probably.
Yeah. I mean, going back to some of the comments that we had on our videos about, oh, you don't think Ace Bailey's going to be any good, this and that. And we're like, well, this season, like we do think moving forward, there's potential for him to develop. And if he can become more of a 2-guard kind of role, more of a shooting guard than the 3 or 4 that he's been playing, I feel like that's kind of what they need. That's what they're missing. So I'm curious what they're going to do draft wise to complement some of their weaknesses or to also complement some of their strengths. So definitely an exciting time to be a Jazz fan.
He averaged 14 points a game, 4 rebounds on 34% 3-point shooting. I mean, that's not 34%, like not bad as for a rookie year and for a team that for most of the season was tanking and kind of you were the main focal point. I mean, I would take that all day. I'd like to see his rebounds be a little more, like 4 rebounds a game is not like awesome, but and then defensive stats were horrible, like 0.7 blocks and 0.8 steals. Like, need that to be up, but
man, that's like double Keldon Johnson.
But like I said, like you mentioned, I mean, they got Jaren Jackson Jr. and Walker Kessler back there, so that's going to cover up defensively.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to need him to be any stellar defensive player. They just need him to be a solid enough player to get that playing time that he needs. And with minutes, it's not like he's being challenged by a ton of people off the bench. So I feel like next year is probably the year that they can really force feed him a little bit more, not offensively, but just get the volume, get the minutes in, get the reps in with those starters, and he might begin to be a little bit more of a piece for them.
For sure. And if they end up with a guy like Keaton Wagler or Mikael Brown Jr., maybe on the lesser end, like a Braden Burries type, like where you play. They need an off-ball type player, so like Keontae can still be the main guard there, and then they just kind of go with that. I think they could really fit really well. But No, I think that's
Maybe.
all I had on my list. Did you have anything else?
No, those are kind of our. I think we agreed pretty much on those top four. So
Yeah.
it's harder to see. Obviously, you could throw OKC in
I
there
was gonna
for
say
young core, but
I did I put OKC and the Spurs, but
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
they're already there. And then I did say I was gonna ask you about Washington, but I not a young core or anything, but Anthony Davis and
Hmm.
Trey Young coming together could be interesting. I
Yeah,
don't know if Anthony Davis is gonna play for him, but he's like, well, they're paying my salary, so I guess I'll play for him. It's like, oh, okay, like cool.
yeah. Well, I guess as he's proven, he doesn't have to play to get his salary. But
No, he does not.
uh, I do think they will improve. It kind of just depends how healthy they are and how much they care. But I do think Trey, Davis, Sar, and assuming they get a top three pick, which they're probably mocked to get, if they get
They're
somebody that
mocked one, so
right, right. So I'm using three conservatively. They probably will get a top two pick, but
yeah.
if they get Devonsa or Peterson, or that probably is best fit for them, then
Yeah,
that could be kind of scary. Not going to
sure.
jump probably in the playoff picture, maybe in the play-in picture, but you know, if all things do go well, then yeah, I can see them being kind of difficult to play.
And I like their young core. I like Keyshawn George, and I like Trey Johnson, and these guys that they have already. Koulibaly is a good perimeter defender, like a point of attack
Hmm.
guy. I'm kind of on the same page with Trey Young as I kind of am with. I'm higher on Trey Young than I am on Lamelo Ball, but like it's hard to see winning basketball. I mean, he made it to the Eastern Conference Finals once his like second year in the league, and then has not
Hmm.
sniffed it since. But I don't know. It's hard to look past guys like that where you can easily take advantage of them in playoff series. But
Yeah,
uh,
I got
yeah,
a question for you.
yeah. What's up?
$5 if you can name the Wizards coach.
Oh man. No, I have no idea.
Okay, I'll keep my $5.
Yeah, you keep them $5. Yeah. What do you know?
It's Brian Keefe.
Brian Keefe. I have heard that name.
Yeah, we'll see if he lasts very long. But I mean, the Nets extended their coach, so
I know. I
clearly
could not believe it.
they're on to something, and they're in Brooklyn.
They gave multi-year deals to every coach on the roster, and it's like, did y'all see how y'all did this year?
Yeah,
Like, okay, cool. Well,
very interesting.
yeah, it is interesting, but we'll see. That's why the Nets are the Nets. So,
Exactly.
but as always, please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think. Who you think is gonna rise next year? Do you agree with what we said? Do you not agree? We'll debate you all day long about it. If
Yeah,
you,
I kind of want the not agrees. I'm enjoying some of
yeah,
these. Just don't you don't have to call us morons. We're not
yeah,
morons. But if you
I like to think
disagree,
so.
respectfully, definitely open to
Yeah, yeah.
debating.
I'm open to debate and talk about it, and we'll figure it out. And it's always fun. So please, like I said, like, subscribe, comment, and yeah, everybody have a good week.
See you next week.